Introducing Never Fight with Your Kids method, shape habits formula. So here is the 20 painful mistakes that parents regret making in their child's screen time and how to avoid them. So I actually divide into 4 steps: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And the first step 1 and step 2, this is the first place that you need to set boundaries with the screens and dealing with screen addiction and screen habits. On the step 3 and step 4, this is where you need to learn how to nurture good screen habits and stay safe online. So let's get started. So the first step is you need to set boundaries with the internet, games, or screen. Here is the first mistakes that most parents make. Parents limit and control their child's screen time strategy. This strategy sometimes works depending on the age of your child and your child's personality. However, it means that there is one key to this success. You have to be there all the time. Ask yourself, if you are not there to limit and control your child's screen time, will your child stop on his or her own? I doubt so. It is tiring and you can't be there all the time. Have you discovered the more you control and limit your child's screen time, the more they wanted the gadgets? Here's the reality. The more you limit the screen time, your children will view it as a scarce resource and want to have more. As Tony Robbins said, energy flows where attention goes. Their attention is now on the screen time. Think about it. As you try to limit and control their screen time, your child will see it as a scarce resource. When you ask your child to stop, the more your child sees it as scarce, he will try to defend it from taken away by you. And that's why you find yourself battling with your child on the screen time use. As your child grows older and in their preteens or teenage years, you might find it is a constant battle with your children. As your child moves into adolescence phase, they are discovering their own identity and wanted more freedom. Why they are limited to the screen time. Personally, controlling the screen does not allow for a safe space, communication, and trust. With so much happening online, we also need to know what is happening in their online world. Many children do not tell their parents what is happening as they are afraid their devices will be taken away. Some children even lie about their screen time. When you use this strategy, it is as if you're trying to drag a cow to eat the grass or drink the water. Here's the reality. We can't force the cow to eat the grass. No matter how much we love them, we can bring the grass to their mouth. They still have to do their part, which is to swallow and munch the grass. Here's the second one. You need to raise independent. Instead of limit and control your child's screen time, this is what you should do. You should actually raise independent, courageous, and conscious children who can self-regulate their screen time and manage their screen life well. Tech is going to stay. We need to find ways to live with it. You need to raise young adults who are prepared for the world. The only way to raise conscious children who can self-regulate so that they can do the right thing, even if we are not there with them. I want you to think, do you have any family members or friends who are addicted to alcohol, cigarettes, or any substance? Have you ever told them that they have some problems with the addictions? What is their response? And I want you to ponder and really think about it. Most likely, they will say that I don't have a problem. I wanted to share a story of my eldest daughter, Swen, who is now 13 years old. She recognized that she was escaping from a pain, and that's why she's been watching YouTube for a longer time. It felt better in the beginning, but the moment she stops it, the negative feelings, sadness or angriness will come back. When she meditated with me, she felt much better as she can tell herself that it's not a big deal and she can deal with the situation. The person must be conscious about her thoughts and habits, only able to look to herself and decide the change. Here's the second one. Impose technology use rules to get your child to put away their devices. Most parents find the more they try to impose the rules, their children refuse to listen to them and try to do the opposite. Here is what you should do. You should actually have a parent and child to set boundaries and agreement on the screen or technologies. When you work collaboratively with your children, you will get their buy-in, and the likelihood to following through with the boundaries and the agreement is higher. Here's the third mistake. The primary focus is to correct the behavior using punishment, shaming, shouting, and time off. This is what you should do instead. You should start with connection first instead of corrections. When you try to correct your child's behavior, it creates resentment in your children. It may work first initially, but as soon as you will realize that it lost its effect and your children ignore you and continue to stare at their screen. By starting with connections, you can get your children to listen to you. Once your child felt the connection and is being understood, they will want to understand you, and that's where they really listen to you. And here's the number 4 mistake. Parents reacted to their children's misbehavior. When you react, it pushes your children away. It does not teach them anything other than don't tell you anything. Here is what you should do. Parents to respond to their children's misbehavior. When you respond to their misbehavior, you can guide them to come back to the family and the boundaries with the screens. And here's the number 5 mistakes. Parents mistakenly think that outdoor activities will prevent screen addictions. Once your children are addicted to the screens, gaming or internet, their minds are preoccupied with them. Even though they are playing outdoors, their minds keep thinking about their games, internet and screens. Once they are no longer outdoors, they switch to the default mode, which is glued to their screens. How many of you realize that your children are glued to the screens the moment they are out of their door activities? Here is what parents should do. Parents should observe and understand your children's screen habits. If you witness a sign of addiction, you can start intervening early. In reality, we can't be there all the time, as they have other influences such as their friends and social media, and they do things differently. Further, the internet is not a safe place. We need to help our children to navigate the internet safely. So here is some of the Facebook posts that I actually posted, parents post to ask for advice. So I actually gather and I also take some of the information, like this is strictly, this is a post that actually parents posted on the Facebook group, and I actually just take it. Of course, I remove all the names and everything. So here is one of the example. My 14-year-old stepdaughter is not allowed to have Instagram. It is blocked from her phone. She found out she has an account that she uses from her friend's phone. So you don't allow her to have Instagram, no problem. She will actually find ways where she get to use an account that she uses from her friend's phone. Have TikTok, but rules that her page has to stay on private. Teenagers are sneaky. She changed her TikTok back to public, and whenever the fathers find out, I tell her to change it back, and she mix up some excuses or lie. So basically, the story is about 14-year-old daughter not allowed to have Instagram. Found that she has an account that she used from her friend's phone. Allowed to have TikTok, but private profile. When father is not aware, change it to public account. Constant lying, sneaking, making excuses, and repeating the prohibited behavior. The father impose rules, set boundaries, or even try to talk nicely instead of blowing up. Wow, sounds like a very difficult situation. Here's one of the second posts that I actually post. My son, 7-year-old, is very addicted. We have tried to limiting to minimal use and taking it away completely. And taking it away completely was terrible. If he can't play games, then there's no point to behave nicely. Screams, talk about killing himself the whole bit. If I say no, he will say things that you will let me play or I'll be mean today. Basically, the story is my 7-year-old son is very addicted. Try to limit and take away, and whenever take away, this is disastrous. The son's point of view, no screen time, no point to behave well. Hit himself and talk about killing himself because he can't play. Allow him to play, but he will threaten that he will misbehave if there's no screen time. So here's the third post that I actually extracted. 8-year-old is extremely addicted to the screens. We have to place firm limits, and as the more time she has, the more she wants. Highly aggressive and angry when we say to stop. When I say no, after trying to physically wrestle the iPad off me, screaming, getting more violent and angry at me. So basically, the summary of this story is my wonderful, kind and sweet 8-year-old daughter is very addicted. The more she had, the more she wants. Place limit, she becomes highly aggressive and angry. Take away the devices, storm off with a temper, refuse to eat dinner and talk. Sounds like a very difficult situation as well. What do you observe from these case studies? The parents are limiting their child's screen time. It's getting tougher and tougher when your children grows older and become teenagers. They become sneaky, try to hide or lie about their stuff. There's also a lack of trust and safe space communication. So there you are. So I hope after this, you will not repeat, the same mistakes where you try to limit and control their child screen strategies. May not work so well, actually. So here's the step number 2, dealing with addiction and guide our children to maintain focus and attention. One of the first mistakes is parents refuse to learn about digital parenting or parenting our children in this digital era. So here is what parents should do. Parents should learn how to parenting their child with this digital era, because all this tech is going to stay and it's going to be a huge part of your children's life. Here's the number 7 mistakes. Many parents underestimate the power of internet or apps that has stolen our children's attention and focus. The new currency in this digital era is attention. It means that attention equals to gold. Therefore, we need to safeguard our precious attention. This is where usually the first point, there some parents realize that their children's attention and focus are on the games, internet or screens. This is what you should do. We should guide our children so that they can maintain their attention and focus in this distracted world. Here's the number 8 mistake. Many parents pass the tech devices without unhack these tactics used by the billion-dollar industries. And all these billion-dollar industries, they basically have some tactics to shape the desired habits in their children. And therefore, you need to unhack it so that it will not shape the desired habits in your children. So what you should do here is you need to hack all these triggers that these apps or technologies are designed to shape their consumer habits. Here's the number 9 mistakes. Not dealing with the deeper needs behind the addictions. Here is what parents should do. There's a real reason and a deeper needs behind this addiction, and you need to deal with it. This is what you should actually do. And number 10 mistake is many parents mistakenly assume that spend long hours equals to addicted and label them. Spending long hours does not mean addicted. It could be just a pure screen habits. And therefore, what parents should do is they need to shape good mindset and habits in our children. Billion-dollar industries are shaping the desired habits in their consumer. And once the action has been done long enough, it becomes habits. And habits define who they are. When you are aware of all this, you can deal with them clearly, rather trying to limit and control your child's screen time. This causes a significant amount of tension and chaos in the family, which in turn strains your relationship with your child. And studies have shown that 90% of teens keep their phones in their bedroom, and 72% report using their phones within an hour of bedtime, which can disrupt their sleep. 72% of teens feel the need to respond to notifications immediately, and 59% of parents say their teens are addicted to their mobile devices. Excessive media use, including internet and video game use, is associated with increased behavioral problems, such as hyperactivity, inattention, and aggression in children. 70% of teens say anxiety and depressions are major problems among their peers, and 45% say social media has a negative effect on their mental health. 48% of teens who spend more than 5 hours per day on electronic devices have at least one suicide risk factor. Children who spend more than 2 hours per day playing video games are more likely to have lower grades than those who play for less time. Here's the quote that I want to actually present to you. If we don't shape our kids, they will be shaped by outside forces that don't care what shape our kids are in. So here is now we go to the step number 3. And this third step, you need to increase your influence, instill critical thinking, and empower our children. Here's the 11 mistakes. Most parents continue to use the same parenting style the parents were parented, which means that you are actually being seen as the controller. When our children see us as a controller, they do not want to share with you what is happening right now. So therefore, we need to increase our influence so that our children see us as a guide and not controller. Here's the number 12 mistakes. Parents cultivate obedience without questioning behavior in their children. Remember, the content or games are speaking to them for long hours. It means you are training your children to listen without questioning these contents. Some parents went too much by spoon feeding and preparing the road for the child, leaving them with no critical thinking. Here is what parents should do. Parents should cultivate critical thinking in our children. When they possess critical thinking, they can decide if these contents are for them or else rejected them. Here's the 13 mistakes. Parents did not role modeling of healthy screen habits. Here's the reality. Your children are watching your habits and they copy what you do, not what you say. So here, parents should show good role model of healthy screen habits. And this is the number 14 mistakes. Many parents actually underestimate the influence of content to our children's mind and behavior. This is where the parents realize that their children has been brainwashed into the things they see on the internet. Here is what parents should do. We must periodically check with our children on their mindsets, habits, and things happening in their online world and offline world. And here's the number 15 mistakes. Parents did not want to deal with the deeper needs behind their child's misbehavior. Our child misbehavior may reveal something in depth. We may need to dig deep to find the underlying cause of the misbehavior. When your children are empowered, they know what to do and how to spend time wisely. You do not have to be there all the time. It is exhausting. And this is the step number 4. In step number 4, you need to deal with these internet dangers, because all these apps and technologies, they are actually linked to the internet, and internet is not a safe place. And many parents actually expect having parental control installed and everything is settled. Here is what parents should do. They should learn some basic internet safety and know how to stay safe online so that you are in the same page as your child. And here's the reality. No parental control tools are bulletproof. No matter how good is the tool, there are some internet dangers will still able to pass through. So therefore, you cannot expect that it's bulletproof and that's it. And that's why you need to really understand about internet dangers and how to stay safe online. Here's the number 17 mistakes. Many parents underestimate the dangers of the internet and its impact to our children. Here is what you should do. We need to set a safe internet environment for our children. No matter how much we want to protect them, some dangers will still able to pass through. Therefore, you need to guide them how to stay safe online. And here's the 18 mistakes. Parents did not guide the children to stay safe online. They just assume that the internet dangers will not reach to their child. In the physical world, you will guide your children to stay safe, like not talking to the strangers, how to cross the road, and etc. Physical dangers may be highly visible, but don't think that there's no dangers online because it's not visible. You should treat the online world the same as the physical world. So, and therefore, we need to guide our children to stay safe online. It means that we need to know how to stay safe online ourselves and role model it. We can't teach our children if we don't even understand the subject. Here's the number 19 mistakes. Many parents actually underestimate the peer pressure. Nowadays, a lot of children, most of them, they have some kind of device, be it tablets or a smartphone or even some laptops. And therefore, they actually exchange information and they also share what they are doing online. And there's some kind of peer pressure as well. So therefore, you need to walk through with your children how to handle the peer pressure when it comes to the social media, gaming, or the internet. And here's the 20th mistakes. Many parents do not know how to resolve conflicts. Many parents do not know how to resolve conflicts with their children. Most of them just try to push their demands on their children. So here is what the parents should do. You should actually resolve the conflict and have a safe space for children to voice their thoughts and feelings. Parents need to learn to negotiate with their children and have a win-win situation. When you're able to negotiate with your children and resolve conflict, you will have a win-win situation. This is when you work collaboratively with your children. And by this step 4, this is when your children will use the tech devices responsibly and stay safe online. And here is all the 20 painful mistakes that parents regret making. Studies have shown 42% of children between age of 10 and 17 have been exposed to pornography online. And 37% of students have experiencing cyberbullying via their smartphones. 500,000 online predators are a daily threat to kids going online, and most victims are aged 8 to 13. 42% of children ages 10 to 17 have seen explicit or violent content online, and 34% have seen content that make them feel uncomfortable. And 57% of teenagers have been contacted by a stranger online, and 20% of teenagers have been asked to send nude or semi-nude photos of themselves. Out of these 20 mistakes, right, what is the one core mistake that parents did? Out of these 20 mistakes, The core mistakes is the parents did not start to learn parenting their child in this digital era before they allowed their children to have access to the screen. The key message is the parents need to learn parenting their child in this digital era before they allow their children to have access to the screens. I want you to consider this. When do you handle your fire hazard in your house? Before, during, or after? Before. You will not handle your fire hazard during and after, because it's during, then the fire may spread and it's actually a bit too late. And if it's after, then it's really too late. So you will actually try to handle all the fire hazards in your house before. And therefore, the key message is parents need to learn parenting their child in this digital era before they allow their children to have access to it.